Home buyers get all of the love, especially first-time home buyers. Today's video is going to be for first-time home sellers and what they need to know from contract through closing. Stay tuned. After the home inspection and the appraisals, at this point it's going to get pretty quiet. Like, you are making whatever repairs that are supposed to be made, and normally they'll have a time frame in there, like the repairs have to be done within 5 to 7 days before closing. The buyer will come back to review the repairs and make sure they were done and everything is good. On the buyer side, they are going to be working with their lender to get a full clear to close, and that means every condition that came back from underwriting is satisfied and this loan is fully approved. Like, those are the words that we want to hear. Clear to close. That means we are going to closing. When a buyer first applies for a loan, the loan officer is getting the file together and making sure, it looks good. And then they send it to the processor that really goes into it a little bit more in detail, and they are making sure everything is there for the file to be sent to underwriting. And underwriting is the gatekeeper. They are the ones that are gonna say yes or no. Just know, conditions are always gonna come back for the buyer. The file looks good, but we need X, Y, Z. Provide those, and then they'll get the clear to close. That's what's going on their part. It's going to be relatively quiet though. Clear to close, like I said, those are the words that we want to hear. Ideally, we're getting the clear to close several days before closing. From there, once we have the clear to close, the lender is now sending the closing attorney all of the paperwork that needs to be signed at closing. Unfortunately, it does happen where sometimes if the lender is pressed for time or there was some delay and in some point, they could be coming down to the wire. So we're like waiting, like, are we gonna close? And preferably that will not happen because that adds additional stress. But I just want to make you aware, it can happen. It can come down to the wire. Maybe we're getting the settlement statement, which is breaking down all of the numbers. Now, these are the numbers that the lender and the closing attorney have gone over, and everything is outlined in detail. Utilities have to stay on through closing. Do not cut them off beforehand. You should call like a week or so in advance and let them know that you are going to be moving, and that will give the buyers an opportunity to go ahead and make arrangements to have them switched over into their name after closing. And just an FYI, the utilities also need to be on for the appraiser, and when the buyer comes back to do their final walkthrough, just go ahead and leave them on through the day of closing. Regarding the lockbox, I'm going to leave that on the door so that the buyer and the buyer's agent can get in to do their final walkthrough. On the way to closing or the day before, I will stop by and pick up the lockbox and the sign out of the yard. How the house should be left. At most basic, it should be left in a broom swept condition. All of your items removed, totally vacant, like take everything out so there are no issues. Anything that we agreed on in the contract, like you were leaving the washer and dryer, the refrigerator was like you agreed the washer and dryer, you were gonna leave that, and the refrigerator was staying, all that stuff should remain in the house. Let's go ahead and make sure the place is clean visually to the eye. You should be ready for the buyers to come in and then do their deep cleaning and move in and make it their home. Regarding closing costs and any monetary contributions that we agree to in the contract, you do not have to bring a check to closing to cover that. It will be taken out of your proceeds. If you're not getting proceeds or you're bringing money to the table, then yes, you would need to write a check. But things like closing costs, prorated costs, those will be taken out of the proceeds, and the closing disclosure and settlement statement will show you those items. Closing day. Closing day. For closing, bring your ID, your checkbook, just in case. I know some people don't even carry checks anymore. I'm one of those people that does carry a checkbook. And bring all keys, garage door openers, manuals, instructions, anything that you want to share with the buyers. Go ahead and bring that to closing and we will get that to them. Like I said, I'm going to pick up the lockbox and I will bring the key that's in the lockbox to closing. And just an FYI, it's a joyous occasion at closing, but I just like to throw it out there. Refrain from sharing how much you made off of the sale of your home by selling the home to the buyers, or telling them like how awful the neighbors are or things that you dislike. That would be like a real killjoy for the buyer. So just kind of keep that to yourself. And last but not least, now it's time to rejoice. We are to the end and you are done. Thank you for hanging in there with me, and I appreciate your patience, and I pray that you are so happy and overjoyed and you're gonna leave me a great testimonial. I'm not one of those agents that just disappears, and it's been a pleasure working with you. If this information has been helpful to you and you found it informative, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button down below and like the video. Also, if you know of anyone that will be moving or is thinking about it, please go ahead and share this video with them. If you happen to be a realtor and you have a client that's relocating to Georgia, or you just have family and friends in Georgia and you know they're going to be buying or selling property, I would love to co-op with you. Please don't hesitate to contact me. You can trust and believe that I will take as great a care of them as you would. Again, congratulations. Do not hesitate to contact me with any questions or if you need clarification on anything. I know that it's a lot and I know that it can be stressful, but please just pack your patience and just have some faith and know that things are going to work out how they're going to work out, and I am here for you. Have a blessed day and we'll talk soon. Bye.